Hi, it's Carter, host of Coffee with the Carter Man. You can see the podcast at YouTube, X, Facebook, everywhere you want to look on social media, all throughout the week. Just check it out. Check it out. America's #1 political activist podcast. And this week, okay, we haven't done it yet. We're about to do it, but I'll give you a preview because we're going to talk some about Syria, okay? Now, you might be one of those who's rejoicing because the United States overthrew Bashir Assad and very likely killed him and his wife and children. You might say, well, in the United States, it was the freedom fighters, the rebels. If you think they're freedom fighters, I got some swampland land in New Jersey I want to sell you. Yeah, they were rebels against a government in Syria that was not theocratic. Okay? Folks, sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for. Sometimes you need to be very cautious about what you hold to your breast. Okay? The United States, now for over a decade, has supported ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Syria. ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Yeah. Talk about not being very selective about the friends you make. Those are two, as we know, of the most vile and vicious terrorist groups in the world. And the United States has held them to their breast. It's armed them to the teeth and sicked them on a government that, well, it certainly wasn't to my liking, was certainly not the most evil in the world, okay? Wasn't spreading revolution. It wasn't openly attacking Israel. As a matter of fact, it had some backroom deals with Israel. But we decided we didn't like it, so we sided with the terrorists to overthrow that government. Now remember, these are the same terrorists who owned large swaths of Syria previously, at which time they enjoyed burning people alive, beheading them in the public square, crucifying them, committing all manner of evil. And so the United States befriended them, okay? The United States, a little less than a decade ago, negotiated a treaty that gave them a little part of Syria up in the north, with the condition that, okay, that was where they would stay, and there was a solid peace in place, and Assad could build his civil war strife-torn country, except for several things. And that is, one, the United States prevented the rebuilding of Syria. The United States blockaded Syria, did not allow the feeding of its people. Okay? The United States prevented Syria from building up an army. I wonder why Syria fell so fast. The United States prevented it from building up its own army to protect its own borders. All the while, it was arming the terrorists in the north while saying it wasn't. Okay? While saying it wasn't. It economically crippled Syria to the point where it knew it couldn't survive, okay? All to get rid of one man. God knows how many Syrians died of not having medical care because the United States blocked it, okay? Had to flee Syria because the United States deprived Syrians of even their own sustenance while it was funneling probably hundreds of millions of dollars and sophisticated arms to the terrorists in the north that the United States had said, we're just going to stay up there and live peacefully. That's conniving. That's absolutely not just dysfunctional, it's disreputable, it's despicable. It just is, folks. And I'm not saying Bashir Assad was a great guy. He wasn't. I wouldn't want to live under him. But was it the United States place to destroy that man and his country, just as we did Libya, not for the purpose of rebuilding the country. We like leaving the countries that we attack in shambles, as we did Libya, as we did Iraq, as we would have done Afghanistan if they hadn't driven us out. And let's think for a second as I close about the people we befriended, because Afghanistan should maybe have taught us a lesson. We're the ones who armed and trained the Mujahideen, who then teamed up with the Taliban to kick our butts for 20 years. Be careful who you befriend. Another example, in the Mideast, never forget who created Hamas, that despicable group of terrorists who are very much like the terrorists that now own Syria. Never forget who formed Hamas. It was Israel, because they wanted a counter to Arafat's group, Fatah. Never, ever forget that. So here we go again. Here we go again, because our deep state, our CIA, our military-industrial complex loves fomenting chaos, wreaking havoc and destruction, and destroying countries, because we just don't like that leader. So we'll team up with anybody, no matter how vile, to get our way. And that's what we've unleashed now in the Mideast. Never forget it. Never forget it.